This is a continuation video of Song of Songs. This is part 2, but what about the virginity motif? The locked garden as a metaphor for virginity or exclusive sexuality is seen. The metaphor of a locked garden in 412 is widely understood as symbolizing virginity or exclusive sexuality. You are a garden locked up, my sister, my bride. You are a spring enclosed, a sealed fountain. The imagery of a garden that is locked or enclosed conveys the idea of the woman's body and love being reserved solely for her beloved, inaccessible to others. This metaphor emphasizes purity, protection, and exclusivity, suggesting that the beloved has rightful access to her intimacy. Many commentators see this as a veiled reference to virginity, highlighting the woman's chastity before marriage. In contrast, others interpret it as underscoring the exclusive, conventional nature of the lover's relationship where she belongs to him. Additionally, the locked garden metaphor resonated with broader ancient Near Eastern literary traditions, where gardens often symbolize a woman's body or sexuality, celebrated for its beauty and fertility, but also carefully guarded. Sealing a spring or fountain alongside the locked garden further reinforces the theme of contained vitality and life-giving potential that is protected until the appropriate time of union. In the song, this metaphor transitions from the woman being a locked garden to an invitation to the beloved to enter her garden, signifying the consummation of their exclusive love and sexual union within the bounds of marriage. The Hebrew term for the garden, gan, inherently implies enclosure or being closed, which is intensified by the adjective locked, na'ul, suggesting a space that is both fertile and protected. It reflects a cultural understanding of the woman's body and sexuality as something precious and desirable, yet guarded and accessible only with consent, emphasizing mutual respect and exclusivity in the relationship. Importantly, the locked garden is not about domination, but about invitation and partnership. The gate is opened from within, symbolizing that even the husband must seek the woman's permission to enter, thus framing sexuality within a consensual and loving bond rather than coercion or violence. What does the book say about fertility, intimacy, pleasure? The theme of fertility is symbolized through rich imagery and metaphors related to fruitfulness, sexuality, and nature. The mandrakes send out their fragrance, and at our door is every delicacy, both new and old, that I have stored up for you, my beloved. 7:13. The mandrakes and pomegranates symbolize uterine fertility due to their many seeds and red juice, linking the poem to themes of reproduction and life. The song celebrates sexual love and may have roots in ancient fertility rituals and sacred marriage rites. For example, Mesopotamian texts describe gods courting with garden imagery similar to the song's references to fields and gardens. However, unlike many ancient fertility texts that focus on divine fertility or sacred marriages involving gods, the song celebrates human romantic and erotic love without explicit descriptions of cultic rituals. The song remains distinct in affirming sexuality and procreation as part of God's creation without endorsing pagan rituals. The poem presents an open and passionate expression of desire and fertility, an unusual theme in biblical literature. The song also depicts intimacy as a joyful, passionate, and sacred expression of love within marriage. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is more delightful than wine. 1-2. The intimacy described is both emotional and physical, stressing fidelity, beauty, and the delight found in each other's presence. I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine. 6.3. The lovers openly express desire, using metaphors like gardens, fruits, and kisses to symbolize their closeness and pleasure. Let my beloved come into his garden and taste its choice fruits. 4:16. The text affirms that sexual intimacy is a God-given gift meant to be enjoyed within the covenant of marriage, meaning its sanctity and the deep connection it fosters between spouses. Take me away with you. Let us hurry. Let the king bring me into his chambers. 1:4. The song portrays pleasure as an integral and joyful part of love, especially within marriage. It celebrates physical desire and sensual delight openly and poetically, affirming that pleasure and intimacy is natural, sacred, and a gift from God. The lovers express their enjoyment of each other's bodies and affection with vivid and sensuous imagery, comparing hisses to wine, lips to honey, and bodies to hardening a fruit, stressing the delight in mutual attraction and closeness. Such pleasure is emotional and physical, meant to be experienced fully and respectfully within a committed relationship. It also balances pleasure with love's more profound commitment, portraying it as a powerful and consuming force that is beautiful and life-giving rather than merely hedonistic. Thus, the song effectively balances the themes of love and desire. It celebrates passionate and romantic love with vivid and sensual language, yet always within the context of mutual respect, fidelity, and emotional intimacy. Love is a deep and transformative bond that matures from possessiveness to mutual belonging and sacrificial care. Therefore, desire is not a mere lust, but a part of a joyful and covenantal union that honors commitment and purity before marriage. There is a lot of talk about smell and taste in the book. Let's look at fragrance, wine, and taste. Fragrance symbolizes the beloved's attractiveness, character, and the allure of love itself. Pleasing is the fragrance of your perfumes. Your name is like perfume poured out. No wonder the young women love you. 1:3. This verse says how the beloved's reputation and personal qualities spread like a sweet and valuable scent that draws admiration from others. The poem frequently mentions aromatic elements such as myrrh, 113, 36, 46, 414, 51, 55, 513, frankincense, 36, 46, 414, cedar, 117, 515, 89, and rose, 2:1, which evoke luxury, sacredness, and sensual delight. Myrrh and frankincense, often used in temple worship and as precious perfumes, symbolize the beloved's preciousness and the sacred dimension of love. The imagery of gardens and spices filled with fragrance also conveys the richness and vitality of the lover's relationship, linking physical desire with emotional and spiritual intimacy. The bride's fragrant perfume, reminiscent of myrrh and henna blossoms, represents her profound love and commitment, filling the space around her and signifying a devotion that is both personal and powerful. This aroma revives and captivates, much like spiritual intimacy revives the soul. In biblical symbolism, the fragrance also connects to worship and sacrifice, implying that a life of integrity and love is a pleasing offering to God. Furthermore, this spiritual aroma extends to the Christian understanding of believers as the fragrance of Christ in the world, symbolizing the witness and love that arise from a devoted heart. Wine is a rich metaphor symbolizing joy, love, sweetness, and delight. May the wine go straight to my beloved, flowing gently over lips and teeth, 7:8, suggesting pleasure and refinement in their affection. In the song, wine often represents the richness and celebration of love itself. For instance, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is more delightful than wine. 1.2. And how delightful is your love, my sister, my bride? How much more pleasing is your love than wine? 4.10. Accentuate the surpassing sweetness and desirability of romantic love over even the finest wine. Additionally, wine in ancient Israel held profound cultural, religious, and social significance. It was essential at feasts and joyful occasions. Vineyards thrived for thousands of years, making wine a key agricultural product and trade item. Wine was central to temple offerings and sacrifices, including daily libations and special feast days. It was part of covenants and sacred meals, symbolizing God's blessing and fellowship. Vineyards and wine symbolized Israel's relationship with God, who was seen as the keeper and vintner of the vineyard. Wine also represented divine blessing, grace, and joy, but could also symbolize judgment and wrath in biblical texts. The wine was commonly mixed with water for drinking, a practice rooted in Jewish law and culture to moderate its strength. It was a staple at meals, celebrations, and weddings, and was also used medicinally. Therefore, the use of wine in the Song of Songs is heavy with metaphors and symbolic meanings. Taste is vividly portrayed through sensual and sweet imagery to express love and desire. The beloved's lips and mouth are described as dripping with sweetness, like a honeycomb, with honey and milk under the tongue, evoking a rich and delightful flavor that symbolizes the pleasure and sweetness of their affection. The mouth of the beloved is called most sweet, or sweetness itself, pointing to the irresistible and delightful nature of their kisses and words. His mouth is sweetness itself. He is altogether lovely. This is my beloved. This is my friend, daughters of Jerusalem. 5:16. At the same time, honey represents God's blessings, provision, wisdom, love, and abundance. It is frequently used to show the sweetness and richness of God's gifts to his people, as well as the spiritual nourishment found in his word. Taste metaphors also extend to the body and intimate parts, with comparisons to sweet fruits and fragrant spices, emphasizing the sensual and pleasurable experience of love, such as in previously mentioned verse in 7:2. Fruit imagery, like apples, figs, and clusters of fruit, represents nourishment, sweetness, and abundance in love. Like an apple tree among the trees of the forest is my beloved among the young men. I delight to sit in his shade, and his fruit is sweet to my taste. 2.3. Here, the beloved is compared to an apple tree among the trees of the forest, symbolizing a source of sustenance, protection, and delight for the lover. Fruit also conveys the idea of growth and fulfillment in the relationship. There is an interplay between spiritual and physical pleasure. Let's now discuss this. The Song of Songs uniquely intertwines spiritual and physical pleasure by celebrating erotic love as both deeply sensual and spiritually significant. It uses sensual imagery, such as gardens, fruits, kisses, and the beloved's body, to express the pleasures of physical intimacy, portraying sexuality as a sacred gift and a profound part of creation. At the same time, the poem's intense erotic desire symbolizes a transcendent spiritual yearning, often interpreted as the soul's longing for union with God or Christ's love for the church. Mystics and spiritual leaders see a mirror of the deep, personal longing for divine presence in the lover's passionate desire. This duality is reflected in the poem's metaphorical language, where the physical and spiritual realms are organically connected, celebrating the body and nature as expressions of divine beauty and grace. The vineyard metaphor plays a crucial role here. It symbolizes both the sensual delight of love and the deeper spiritual nourishment that it provides. The vineyard, with its lush grapes and fertile soil, vividly represents physical beauty, fertility, and erotic pleasure, reflecting the intimate, sensuous aspects of the lovers' relationship. It also carries strong spiritual connotations as a symbol of God's people, Israel itself, divine care, and the expectation of fruitfulness in righteousness and love. By evoking the vineyard, the Song of Songs invites readers to see physical intimacy as sacred and fruitful, a manifestation of divine blessing and a metaphor for spiritual union and transformation. The nurturing and pruning of the vineyard mirror the spiritual process of growth and refinement, where physical love becomes a pathway to deeper spiritual connection and joy. The song sets the tone for describing the marriage bed and setting of intimacy. The bed, chambers, and couches serve as rich symbols of consummation and intimate love within the context of marriage or betrothal. The term used for bed is distinct and carries a strong sexual connotation, often understood as love bed, as seen here. How handsome you are, my beloved, oh how charming, and our bed is verdant. 1:16. It symbolizes the consummation of love and sexual union, which the Bible honors within marriage as undefiled. In the Christian tradition, marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure, for God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral. Hebrews 13:4. The bed represents the private and intimate space where the lover's longing is fulfilled, but the song also reflects the tension of desire before consummation, as the maiden longs for her beloved but has not yet acted on those desires until marriage. All night long on my bed, I looked for the one my heart loves. I looked for him but did not find him. 3:1. The chambers refer to the innermost private rooms or bedrooms, emphasizing the need for privacy in romantic and sexual love. The lovers seek these private spaces to express their affection away from public view, highlighting the sacredness and exclusivity of their intimate relationship. Take me away with you. Let us hurry. Let the king bring me into his chambers. 1:4. Chambers symbolize the desire for closeness and the sanctity of the private sphere in love. Although it is mentioned only once in the song, it carries significant symbolism. The couch is often depicted as a place of rest and enjoyment where lovers share. It symbolizes mutual delight and the bliss of companionship. In Christianity, some interpretations see the couch as a symbol of the joy believers find in union with Christ. Still, the song primarily represents the shared experience of love and intimacy between the couple. Some translations equate bed and couch, 1:16, but there is a noticeable difference between the two. Some translators interpret bed more broadly as a place of rest or a seat for a banquet. Still, the sexual and romantic overtones in the song make bed the most fitting term, emphasizing the sacredness of marital intimacy. The bed and couch can also carry figurative meanings such as fertility and flourishing love, as seen in 1:16, where the bed is described as verdant, symbolizing a life-giving and fruitful union. Theologically, the bed is sometimes seen as a metaphor for the church or the covenantal relationship between Christ and the church, highlighting spiritual intimacy and protection in Christianity. The movement from private to public spaces and from the garden to the fields in the Song of Songs symbolizes shifts in intimacy, social boundaries, and the experience of love. I will get up now and go about the city through its streets and squares. I will search for the one my heart loves. So I looked for him, but did not find him. 3:3. The song depicts a tension and interplay between private and intimate spaces, like the chambers or the garden, and public spaces, streets, squares, fields. Private spaces are primarily associated with the female protagonist and represent safety, exclusivity, and consummated love. Public spaces, more accessible to both sexes, are places of searching, longing, and vulnerability, especially for women. The beloved's knocking at the door. I slept, but my heart was awake. Listen, my beloved is knocking. Open to me, my sister, my darling, my dove, my flawless one. 528 illustrates the permeability of private boundaries and the negotiation of access to intimacy. Crossing the public to private space marks a significant moment of erotic and emotional climax, where social norms and gender roles are momentarily transcended. According to the spatial theory applied to the song, this movement from public to private space marks the climax of erotic love, where cultural roles and freedoms merge into a new unity through consummation and mutual surrender. The man loses his freedom through the woman's erotic power, symbolizing a transformative union beyond social constraints. The gendered nature of these spaces shows the woman's passivity and stasis in public. Still, in private, her space becomes dominant and sacred, reflecting a shift in power dynamics within their relationship. The garden and vineyard metaphors emphasize love's private, fertile, and flourishing nature, while the public spaces highlight the challenges and risks associated with openly expressing desire.